You are listening to the CittaCalcioUsa show, the only news and podcast in English about AS Cittadella. Hello everyone, welcome back to the CittaCalcioUsa show, episode number 132, coming to you on July 8th, that's a Monday. Welcome to the new season for Cittadella. It is officially the 2024-2025 season for Cittadella as the new month July begins, officially known as the new season, even though Cittadella has technically been in the new season for a while now, a few weeks now, but it is now officially official. We have some more transfer news to talk about. We have new signings, plus first game has finally been confirmed for Cittadella facing off in the Coppa Italia against Sassuolo in early August. So we're going to be talking about a little bit about that game, plus get you up to date about the transfer news and possibly the new schedule coming up in a few days' time for the Serie B calendar. So let's get right into it. Before we start, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CittaCalcioUsa and visit our website at CittaCalcioUsa.com for more information, news, articles, all that stuff about AS Cittadella. Now, let's see. We'll start here with the news, the catch-up on the Mercato, because it has been a little bit over a week since the last podcast. But since I have talked, we have not talked about the new signing. It is Jacopo De Sogus from Cagliari, attacker, plays on the left wing, but could play really very flexible. Could play as an attacking mid, left wing, right wing, you name it. But an attacker officially signed from Cagliari, all out of free transfer. Last season, he was at Gubbio on loan from Cagliari in Serie C, with whom he made 13 appearances. But he made 72 appearances for Cagliari's Primavera, scoring 28 goals and 11 assists. So De Sogus joins Cittadella. We kind of knew that from a few weeks ago, given all the reports, but it is now official. In fact, I believe he was actually announced the day after I published the podcast, believe it or not. So a little bit similar to Tronkin and Massangelo when we recorded last month in June, where we were talking about them, and then literally the day after I did the podcast, they were officially announced as Cittadella players. But De Sogus joins. He is now the fourth official player to sign for Cittadella, joining Francesco De Alisio and Simone Tronkin and Eduardo Massangelo on the left back. But he is, I would say, attacker. It's once again the biggest question of the start of the season, I think, for Cittadella is what is Guarini going to do in terms of the formation? Is he going to go back to the 3-5-2, which did stop the losing streak, the 8-game losing streak in the winter, but lacked the offense through Cassano and Pandolfi. We kind of talked about that with Carlo Cicino and Diego Zilio in a few weeks ago in the podcast, but we kind of said that given that the three in the back formation, it kind of limited Cassano, Pitarello, and Pandolfi's role in the attack, which is kind of the reason why Cittadella did not produce a lot of goals towards the latter part of last season. But they did end up being more compact defensively. They did stop leaking goals, and it did get them points on the board, but eventually it was not enough to make the playoffs in the position that they were in for most of the season. But we kind of know that story already. So back to what I was saying, it is very interesting to see what Guarini will do. Will he play 3-5-2? Because in that situation, I think you could put De Sogus on the left, as that's his natural position, according to what I've been finding on the internet, seeing how De Sogus has been playing on Transfer Market. It lists him as a left midfielder, but he could also play as a second striker, also down the middle, kind of like in Cassano's role. So it's very interesting to see where he's going to be playing, because on that three in the back formation, I think it fits him well. But another question is, where does De Alisio start? Because as of now, I have him in the chart as a defensive midfielder, but I don't think he's going to stay there. I think he's really in the central midfielder, kind of similar to a Carriero or Vita type of play, because I think that's kind of what suits him best, because you see Branca there, I think he's going nowhere. So he's going to be locking down that defensive mid zone. And so Delicio, Trunking could probably play off him. And then zero doubts about Massangelo's role, his left back, backing up, or maybe starting ahead of Alicio Rizza and Federico Giraldo, whose contract is expired. So currently he's a free agent, and because it does not look like Cittadella will re-sign him. We kind of talked about that a few podcasts ago. Massangelo is also another case where he can play a little bit higher upfield. So if Guarini does play that three in the back, I think he could slide into that attacking midfield position, and then maybe the center backs with Pavan, Stefano Negro, Ferrari, and then maybe even Carisoni coming back. But I think actually Carisoni will play more up the field. But I think this is definitely the biggest question going into this new season, is what Guarini is going to do with this formation. Because if, just going back to last season, yes, the three in the back formation did get results that was much needed after that losing streak. And this because the system with four in the back, the 4-3-1-2 was kind of broken. They just needed a new idea. Even though that limited their attack, they were getting clean sheets, they were preventing goals, and getting results. I don't know if it's suitable long term, and so that's why I'm very curious. I really hope that I could watch a game in La Verone through a live stream somehow, or in some ways, because I'm really interested to see what Guarini does in August with the Coppa Italia matches in the first few matches of the season. I think that'll give us a real good idea of where this team is going to go. But that is that's the only official signing as of right now, as of July 8th. There is a rumor reporting from Gianluca Di Marzo. He does report that Federico Casolari is pretty much done from Sassuolo. He's a defensive midfielder joining from Sassuolo. He made 31 appearances for Gubbio last year. Another young midfielder, but he is more of a defensive midfielder. And this makes a little more sense because a few days ago, Andrea Danzi did sign for Foggia in Serie C, so he is no longer with the team anymore. We'll get into that transfer in a little bit. But this kind of makes a little sense because, like I was just alluding to a few moments ago, I don't think Delicio is going to play in that defensive mid role. So this kind of fits perfectly as a kind of a backup to Branca, but he could also play off the side if he wants to. But really, defensive midfielder Federico Casolari, not official yet, but Marzo reported this a few days ago and still hasn't been official. So I think we're just waiting for that pen to paper moment, and who knows, maybe the streak will continue, because I feel like these last two podcasts we've been talking about these rumors, and then literally the day after they announced it officially. So who knows, maybe on July 9th Casolari will be announced as a new Cittadella player, and once again this streak continues. So maybe we'll just keep making podcasts until Cittadella has a full roster of new signings. But anyway, Casolari, 31 appearances for Gubbio. Once again, another player from Gubbio, just like Dosogus. But he is on his way to Cittadella. That's what Di Marzo is reporting. But speaking of the defensive midfielders, Andrea Danzi says goodbye to Cittadella after 3 seasons. Free transfer to Foggia. If you remember, his contract was up by the end of June. So he joins Foggia on a 2-year deal in Serie C. Danzi, if you remember, Danzi was one of Guarini's first signings as a Cittadella manager. He joined in 2021, in the summer of 2021. I can't remember if it was after or before Guarini officially was announced as head coach, because it took a little time. But really, Danzi has been here since Guarini's first years, and he had some rough moments. I think a lot of fans were disappointed a little bit by him, because just given the expectations, this was a young midfielder willing to prove himself in the defensive mid, almost kind of replacing Manuel Llori, who retired the year before, and signing from Hellas Verona. I think there was a good prodigy, but unfortunately, he just did not live up to those expectations. Didn't get a goal. He got 1 assist in 50 appearances. I think most notably, a lot of fans are just going to remember him for those 2 red cards that he got in what was those games? I believe it was against Südtirol and Spal about 2 seasons ago in the 2022-23 season, where Cittadella just seemed like they got a red card every single match. And Danzi got 2 red cards in that season and didn't play much in the previous season. But best wishes to Danzi on his new adventure at Foggia, and we wish him the best there. Another departure that you may have not heard of, just given that it wasn't really announced and wasn't really talked about a lot, but Vincenzo Cirello, who was back on loan from Picerno. I think a lot of people forgot that he was on loan at Picerno in Serie C last season. He was back on loan, and then he is now signed on a free transfer for Angri in Serie D in the 4th division. Cirello only made a handful of appearances in Gorini's first season once again. He was a defender coming in. I don't think we expected him to play a lot of minutes, but it could have been another surprise package, like Marchetti has proven year after year, where maybe you sign kind of a relatively unknown player from the lower leagues and give him a chance in Serie B, and he does really well. I think this is another example of, it doesn't always work like that. And, there's a lot of trial and error. And that's kind of what happened to Cirello. I don't think it really worked out the best for him. And now he's going back to Serie D with Angri. So once again, best wishes to Vincenzo, and hope to see him back in Serie B in the near future. But kind of wrapping up here, we have some news to talk about, some team news. As I mentioned in the intro, the Coppa Italia round of 64 is set. Sassuolo against Cittadella on August 9th at 6 p.m. local time. That's at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the United States at the Mappe Stadium. So in total, Cittadella will be making 3 trips to the Mappe Stadium in this season. 1 in the Coppa Italia and two against Sassuolo and against Reggiana, because if you remember, they do share that stadium. So kicking off early, it's on actually a Friday, believe it or not, Friday in Reggio Emilia at the Mappe Stadium, round of 64. The winner faces Lecce or Torres, the winner of Torres and Mantova, and the winner of that will play AC Milan at San Siro in the round of 16. If you remember, Cittadella were very close to advancing to the round of 16 last season, where they were in a tough battle with Cremonese, and Cremonese did advance in a very last minute goal from Massimo Coda, but we won't talk about that game anymore. But anyway, Sassuolo Cittadella, that is the first match, official match, the first competitive match of the season, and then the weekend after the season officially starts in Serie B. We will know the fixtures by the next podcast. So the next time you're hearing from me, we will know Cittadella's full fixture list. Once again, the calendar is asymmetrical, so it won't be lined up from the match day 1 through 19 through match day 20 and 38. It's going to be completely random, but there will be a Boxing Day match, I'm sure. And I think it's just going to kind of line up similar to last season. But if you want to watch the presentation and when they will be releasing the fixtures, it is actually this Wednesday, July 10th at 7 p.m. local time in Italy in Piazza Europa in La Spezia. So I believe it'll be live streamed. Don't quote me on this, but I believe it will be live streamed on Lega B's platforms, and as well as probably DAZN and those Sky maybe. I'm not sure. I think last year I just watched it on, I believe it was DAZN's YouTube channel. They had a live stream. It wasn't geo-blocked or anything, so I think anyone could really watch it. But July 10th, Wednesday, 7 p.m. local time. That is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States, taking place in La Spezia 2 hours before the Euro semifinals between the Netherlands and England. So you could watch that presentation and then get ready to watch Euro semifinal. So that should be a very fun Wednesday for everyone. But yeah, once again, 7 p.m. local time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, July 10th, we will know Cittadella's full schedule for the 2024-2025 season. And let's see. I think that is all. I kind of just ran through all those notes that I was just talking about. I talked about Coppa Italia, presentation, departures, rumors, transfer news. I think this is kind of where we're at right now. Cittadella just kind of finishing up their holidays, their off season, before they report to training real soon, because in 2 weeks or so, let me look at the calendar once again, they will be heading up to the mountains in Lavarone to begin their preseason retreat in Trentino. Let me see here. Well, today is the 8th, Monday the 8th. So in about a little bit less than 2 weeks, they will begin to start their preseason retreat. Usually the week before, they do get together at the Tombolato to get some pre-training in, and sometimes the media talks to Marchetti and Gorini. So just keep an eye out on that. But pretty soon the players will be getting back and the season will be starting once again. So it has been really, it feels like a long time since Cittadella last played a game, but at the same time, once you look at the calendar, it's only been 2 months, maybe a little more, since Cittadella last took the field in a competitive match. But I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to, once again, another season of covering Cittadella from abroad in English, providing up-to-date news, articles, tweets. I love every single bit of it. Sometimes it gets a bit chaotic with the early wake-up calls, the early games, but at the end of the day, I enjoy it very much and really reporting from the world of Cittadella. So let's hope for a better season than last season, and hopefully this time we could finally make the playoffs. But anyway, that is going to be it for me today. If you are looking for us on Instagram and Twitter, it's at CittaCalcioUsa, and visit our website at CittaCalcioUsa.com for more information, news, articles, all that stuff about AS Cittadella. Presentation of the Serie B calendar is this July 10th, 7 p.m. local time. Catch the match, or not catch the match, catch the presentation to see who Cittadella will be facing off this season, and so you could start marking your calendars and marking your trips for this upcoming season. Right. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I will see you next week. And as always, Forza Citta. Thank you for listening to the CittaCalcioUsa show. If you liked it, please share and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CittaCalcioUsa. See you next time, and remember, Forza Citta.